When in God's world can you take a chance? And so we made the film without insurance. Why bother? Without permits. The actors, everybody worked for $100 a day. No trailers. Did their own hair, makeup, wardrobe, transportation. Every once in a while, we had a hot lunch. And that was free. Yes, there was a free lunch.
I think I would have loved to have seen the shark exploitation movie that you two would have done together, but this film seems so in tune with your sensibilities and also Bret Easton Ellis's work. I mean, I think about this film reflects, it's almost like a sequel almost to American Gigolo or Hardcore or Comfort of Strangers, all of those sort of same themes. Did you and Bret talk about the script at all, or did you sort of trust him to do his thing?
No, this is all his. Brett and I are really not on the same page, but we are in the same book.
Right.
And I like his sensibility, and I liked his writing so much on that other script, and and in this case he was not only my collaborator, but he's also my partner. We owned the film together, Brett and Braxton and I, and then we gave a quarter of the film to Lindsay. And so she will do quite well, by this. And I just liked his voice. I didn't muck about with the script much. The only other time I didn't fool around with the script was when I did a script that Harold Pinter had written. And I liked Harold's cadence, I like his voice. And
Comfort of Strangers. Right?
Yeah, Comfort of Strangers. And so Brett was our partner in this and remains so, to this day. All the decisions that are made, have to cross, his email. So it's not, he's not only the writer, but he's also the part owner.
Well, I know there's a lot of stories about the casting of the film that people are familiar with, but maybe we could go through how the whole cast came together, because you're talking about a digital. I mean, this is a very digital film about a post-cinema age, and this is a post-cinema cast as well. And I was wondering how all that came about.
Well, in that very first email I sent to Brett, I said, let's make cinema for the post-theatrical era. So it was always in my mind as a VOD phenomenon. And that's where the ideas of the theaters came from. And the first time I had a read-through with the cast, I told them, this is the story of some 20-something Angelenos who went to the movies. But then the theater closed, but they stayed in line because they had nowhere else to go. And that's how I sort of thought of these people and this generation, which is Brett's a generation from me, and he's a generation from these people. Now, how did this casting come about? Well, we knew we couldn't cast conventionally. I was looking for 5 young people, beautiful, talented, who would do nudity and sex simulation and work for $100 a day. Now, you really can't go to a casting agency or a talent agency, but they're not going to take that phone call. So we started casting on the web through this place, Let It Cast. And you put up the sides, and people from around the world submit auditions. Eventually, we got 650 auditions. After around 100 or so, they started getting much, much better. And finally, in the end, around over 100 were of professional quality, because the word was getting out there, and young actors obviously are always looking for a showcase. So everybody was cast from Let It Cast, except James and Lindsay. And that came about because, this is the version of the story I heard, is that while Brett was writing the script, he tweeted. Now, Brett has a very promiscuous Twitter finger. And so he tweeted, I'm writing a character that is based on or inspired by the porn actor James Dean. And so James tweets back, I can't wait to read it. And Brett and James have dinner, or lunch rather, and they hit it off. And Brett promises him I'll give him a screencast. I don't, I think this highly unlikely that I would ever cast him, but Brett's my partner, and so of course I have to do it. And Brett's thinking was that James so encapsulated this kind of kid that he, it wasn't really acting, he was this guy in Brett's mind. And I was surprised how good he was, because as I said to Brett, I said, James has made, what 2,000 films? And I said, that's a lot of pool boys, there's a lot of pizza boys. How do you get that out of a guy's system? You don't. What? I didn't create this performance, this is James's performance. But I still didn't think I would cast him. Then we approached Lindsay for the yoga role because we thought we could shoot it out in a day and a half, and because we were worried about her unreliability. And Brett was friends with Lindsay's manager, and so she read it. Not Brett, Brackton was friends with Lindsay's manager. And Lindsay read it and said, I don't want to play the supporting role, I want to play the lead. And after a lot of back and forth, that's when that, if you can't take money with chances with your own money, when can you? And we decided to go with Lindsay. And I had already cast another person in that role, and I was going to screen test her with James. And I thought I was going to lock up the casting that weekend. When she found out James was an adult actor, she walked out and refused to go to the screen test. So then...
Did she explain why? She just was just,
my feeling is that she was a very beautiful and talented, kept girl, and I think her boyfriend said, this is not going to happen. And, not unlike the character in this movie. And so then, once Lindsay was involved, this post-Empire idea took root. Brett has this notion, this film is a post-Empire production. Brett has this notion that American art is now in its post-Empire phase, just like British art was in the last century. And that we are using the crap, the detritus, the stuff left over from our successful era and making art out of it. And I thought, this is kind of post-Empire casting. You've got a bold-faced name from one outre culture, which is the celebrity culture. Another from another outre culture, which is an adult film industry. And you take these two people and you put them together with this writer and director who are, even though storied, are scrapping and trying to work and make a living. And you've got a kind of post-Empire collection of junk that symbolizes, this moment.